Welcome. You know, I've been a financial journalist for about 25 years now, and I've always felt this is the best job in the world. And the last week has proved it. I went off to Omaha and sat in an audience of 31,000 people listening to Warren Buffett, richest man in the world. He's worth, by the way, about R500 billion. And he was passing on some incredibly interesting information. Now, remember, this is a guy who started with nothing and has built up an asset base of 62 billion in his own capacity. That's one of the interesting points, but here back at home, there's been a lot happening as well. Two companies that have had their share of troubles in the last little while are being featured on Power Lunch today, and the reason for that is that both of them released financial results. One of the gentlemen that I've had a lot to do with over the years, not quite as much as with Mr. Buffett, is Mark Barnes. Are you a fan of Warren?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to be. He's made so much sense. He's been so consistent, and you know, everything he says seems to have a long-term wisdom about it. And the proof is in the pudding, isn't it? So yeah, you have to be a fan.
And your company, Purple Capital, that you established, things were going so well. Then you had an enterprise transforming transaction with the acquisition of Global Trader, which some people are saying has transformed the company the wrong way.
Well, you know, part of it has. It was Global Trader Europe was a big knock for us, but it wasn't a fatal knock. I think if you go back and say, what did we buy? We bought a company that had quite significant earnings in South Africa, that had funded the establishment of its international operations, including Europe and Asia and Canada. And we've lost the international operations. And
what did you pay for them in the whole package? 172 million for the lot, but how much was international?
Well, it's about 20% of the value. It was 316 in the end, including our hedging costs of the currency, but it was about 63 million we would attribute to them, and that's attributing the value on the basis of their relative contribution to earnings.
Are you going to get it back?
We hope to get a big chunk of it back, because in fact we hope to finalize that in the next couple of weeks, because we put 4.3 million euros into escrow, and for me it's self-evident that one of the things that they warranted was that they'd hand us a going concern. There was a period from when we closed the deal and completed our due diligence until we actually took over the company, and during that period this is what happened, and we weren't allowed to manage the company in that period because we were not yet approved by the SSA and other regulatory approvers.
Might you have to go to court to get your money back?
I don't think so. What the process is now is that we've submitted our claim, they've counted, we've counted, and it gets decided by a barrister in the first instance whether the escrow is retained. And then, my sense is we'll sit and negotiate about it.
What's the explain that escrow?
Escrow is, we put a portion of the purchase price, it was about 12.5% at the time. We put it into escrow for the specific purpose that if warranties weren't met between the date of signature and the date of completion, then that escrow was put there to safeguard our interest if something went wrong in that interim, which just has.
Which happened.
Big way, yeah.
Something that came out of Omaha was Warren Buffett saying that I've got plenty of money, but I'll never have enough reputation. The reputational hit that Global Trader has taken because of what happened in Europe. Does that not affect the value of the business overall?
No, it does. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt you've taken a reputational hit. There's no doubt that our clients here have got nervous as a consequence of it. We've had withdrawals, clients have withdrawn. But despite all of that, we're making a lot of money in Global Trader South Africa. You must bear in mind, you know, they paid royalties, I think last year, of 58 million in Global Trader South Africa out to the offshore operations. So they are the cash generative engine in the company. But yes, we've had withdrawals of client monies, but we've been able to settle those, and we're still able to settle them. All the clients' money is safe, payable on demand if they want it, and we're trading successfully. But yeah, you know, reputation, you only get back with time. You can lose it in an instant, and you have to work your way back. So we have to earn our way back into the positive positions.
If you would have bought Global Trader today, how much less would you have paid, given that the reputation damage is there?
Well, I reckon we would, you know, today, you know, if we look at their earnings, we would probably pay something like 250 million or thereabouts still. I mean, we're looking now at Purple going forward. If you take EBITDA, if you take the last 4 months of EBITDA and you annualize it, and we would argue those were 4 terrible months. I was looking for an appropriate word there. They were 4 terrible months. You annualize that, and we've got EBITDA going forward of 31 million. You know, a year ago we just had investments. Now our results are also being knocked by the investments. You know, CET's been marked down despite their great results, and so yeah, it's been It's been a hard 6 months, but I tell you what, the main shareholders are still supporting us. They're still there. All of the shareholders that started with me are still there.
They put a lot of money in recently, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. They put in essentially 160 million of new equity to fund the business, and we borrowed a lot of money as well to fund the business.
So. And how did you explain what happened in Europe to them?
Well, we explained it like we've explained it to everybody. I mean, essentially, global trade is not a risk business if it's run properly. Global trade facilitates people taking views on the market. But like any business which facilitates people taking a bet on the direction of something, you've got to have a house limit, because otherwise you can't unwind it. And that's essentially what happened, is that the management internationally allowed a position to build up which was grossly, in excess of any risk limit that was in place, impossible to trade out of because it was way ahead of any liquidity barrier that one would build into these things. And we were just unable to get out of the position, and the guy who built up the position defaulted on us. And it's as simple as that. I mean, they broke the rules. You can't, if you're a house and you allow your clients to go double or quits all of the time without putting a house limit, eventually the client's going to win or lose. And that's essentially what he lost.
Is it likely that you'll be able to get anything back from the money that the client lost? Presumably you've got security, including that £15 million house.
Yeah, we've got the house, we've got his personal guarantee for that matter, and the various other bits of security that we own already. We own the house, there's a mortgage against the house, but we own the house, there's about net equity in there of about £5 million. We own various other things, the deposits on the jet, all sorts of things that these people have, these wealthy people. The pursuit of these things, particularly in our experience overseas, is not a trivial issue. They have these things in trust, and they have, beyond the assets that we've got already. But we're going to look until we find him.
Legal fees that you're talking about in the UK.
All of those things. So it's been. It's not been fun.
The numbers that you produced today are terrible. Pre-tax loss 36 million rand, operating profit 1.2. But you say you're looking to really push that up in the second half.
Well, if you actually just take out all of the mark-to-markets and so on, we've got a very tiny EBITDA. But if you look at it going forward, and if you just analyze what we're making, and if you look at, we're making money every day in Global Trader, and it's in cash, and people. One proves it by the fact that we're funding our business and we're going forward. But we think it's done. It's been a period where we've had to look back, and I've been doing a lot of this personally. Going through the case, making sure that our case is solid, making sure that we did everything appropriate so that we can get the money back. And that's also resulted in us not looking forward in the business. We've been looking backwards. We've been working internally, focused internally. It's over, Alex. It's finished now.
This period you also sold out of some quite nice assets there. Bridge Capital, one that you helped establish.
Yeah, I think.
Was that in any way related?
No, not at all. No, I think we're building up our own corporate finance team, and instead of having one out there where you've got 30% of, we've got our own guys now doing the work, and it didn't make sense for us to hold a minority stake, and we sold it for a little bit more than we paid for it, and moving on.
Blackstar, same story?
Blackstar, it was in our books for nothing. It was in the books at 200,000. They've done very well. We don't have anything to do with the management of that asset. And so we thought, we'll cash in.
But why at this time? I don't know if you picked up that Citigroup is cashing in $200 billion it announced this morning of its non-core assets. Is this a similar story?
That's it. That's the answer, is that when you go through stuff like this and you realize that you had your eye on about 10 different balls, and maybe if you'd had it on 3, you would have hit them better. We back to our roots. We're going to do financial services. We're not going to. We have other investments which we still hold, and we'll manage those to the best of our ability. But we're doing financial services. I mean, one of our big thrusts going forward is Treasury. We're building the Treasury room as we speak. Global Trader is still going to be a great business. Watch that spot. Corporate finance I talked about, and our asset management through Access and so on. We're just financial services now.
Treasury, you bought a company that was owned by First Class Risk Solutions. Is that the old specialized outsourcing?
No. It was J&J's company.
Sure, but they bought the old specialized outsourcing.
There were a couple of the guys in the team for specialized outsourcing. They didn't buy the whole company. The whole King outfit. No, but these were ex-guys from outsourcing.
So they know exactly how King worked, no doubt, and won't be repeating it.
Well, not so really. We paid $5.5 million for that company. We made $10.7 million the first year. So it's working, and that's part of the foundation of our new treasury.
going ahead? You've mentioned the various parts. When are shareholders going to see a recoupment of the losses that you've had to incur?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I expected we would have, I expect the year results to be positive. So I think, in the next 6 months, we're earning our way out of this thing.
And the share price, getting it back to just R1.80, where you pitched it when you bought Global Trader?
I think we'll have to earn our way back to that. I mean, I'm not going to worry about the share price. I'm the biggest single shareholder. I feel the pain as much as anyone does. And I bought some shares this morning. So
that tells it all, doesn't it? Mark Barnes, the Chief Executive of Purple, a company that's promised a lot, delivered to begin with, then had that, at this point in time anyway, enterprise transforming transaction for the bad. You've got to believe that Mark's going to be doing everything to turn that around. We'll be back in just a moment with Nick Holland, the new Chief Executive of Goldfields.